Today, I will be interviewing Mark McQuade. He's a cloud-based solution specialist, a knowledge addict, a relationship builder, and currently the practice manager of the data science and engineering practice at Annika, which is a Rackspace Technology company. Mark's passion lies within the data, artificial intelligence, and machine learning areas. He also loves promoting data and ML services through webinars, events, and passing on information to his teammates. Today, Mark is focused on building up the data science and engineering practice within Annika Rackspace, where he assists clients to turning their data into value. They do this through data analysis and predictive analytics. I hope you enjoy today's show with Mark McQuade. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Good, Rebecca. You?
Life is good. I love the red beats there. You look like a rock star.
I only wear Beats, so yes.
Well, thanks for being on the show today. So for those of you that don't know Mark, we actually work together. One of the rock stars I met early on in my time here on Annika Rackspace specifically focused on our data and engineering practice. So he's making big impacts for our customers as it relates to data engineering. So I wanted him to talk about that today, specifically how data plays into digital transformation. So he has this idea around the end-to-end data journey, and I've asked him to walk us through that as we get started today.
You know, a lot of clients out there today we see, haven't really, done too much with regards to, their data, really, right? They're still kind of dipping their toes in a bit, right? So we kind of look at it as an end-to-end journey, right? Let's get those clients, in a data lake, right? Let's get them starting to ingest their data into a central location. And then from there, really the sky's the limit, right? From that point, you start running analysis on the data, analytics, right? Then you get into the machine learning world. You have the ability to start running predictions, forecasting on your data. And then, the final step, which is often missed really is that MLOps step, right? Is CI/CD for your machine learning is getting that machine learning into production, getting it out of a development stage and into a production stage. Everyone has to start at the beginning, right? Everyone has to get that data, get it into a central location, and then start doing, anything they want, really.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases with customers, they don't know how off their data is. They want a very positive, clean outcome, but they don't know how bad it is with what they're starting. So helping them walk through that process, make sure that their outcome is what they're looking for and that they're getting the results about their business that they're expecting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the most complex piece, the most time-consuming piece of your data journey is cleaning your data, right? Is getting your data prepared for the next step in that pipeline. I think one of the stats that's always thrown out there is 80% of the time spent, data scientist time spent is cleaning data, right? It's not building machine learning models. It's actually cleaning the data. So yeah, I mean, the data is notoriously messy, right? It's unstructured. It's in different formats. So getting that to a point to get you to that next step in the pipeline is key. And we're, happy to help and have the full, capability to do so.
So let's talk about phase 2 of the journey. So once that data is clean and customers in a good position to move forward, how do we help clients remove the manual efforts and put it into machine learning?
What we like to do is we like to work with the clients, first on the data aspect, get it into an appropriate data lake, get it in an appropriate format, transformed accordingly, and then we work with them on use cases for machine learning. Right? It's not always right. If you're dealing with something that is not very complex and you have the ability to just write some logic, there's no need to go into machine learning. I mean, specifically, what we do a lot, is what we've been doing recently is transcribing audio files, right? Running them through a transcription service so you can pull that speech to text out, right, for further analysis. Or another thing we're doing a lot of now is document analysis, right? So OCR kind of thing, where you're putting a document into a pipeline, you're pulling out the text, and then you're also going a step further and you're extracting insights from that text, right? Another big thing nowadays, conversational bots, chatbots as they're known. Everyone is getting in the chatbot game, so that's a big thing of what we do now. Creating chatbots could be for contact centers, for example, right? That front end to the agent, where the chatbot is able to provide that question answer on the first piece as opposed to getting to a human right away. And some forecasting, right? We do a lot of forecasting sales and trends using machine learning. We've done some COVID-19 forecasting based on machine learning. We assist clients, they give us their machine learning models and we build a whole ML ops pipeline platform kind of framework for them so they can, quickly and seamlessly get those machine learning models into production.
So why and when should a company introduce an ML initiative into a technology strategy?
From a high level standpoint, one is complexity. If it's an extremely complex problem that you're trying to solve, with some logic or any other way, and it's just not working out, it's just taking too much effort, then that's something you want to explore for machine learning. If you have constantly changing rules, right? So if you're writing a rule-based, something that's rule-based to maybe look at thresholds or something, but you're constantly changing those rules, there's another thing that maybe you'd want to look at using machine learning to solve as opposed to manual efforts. Massive amounts of data. That's another one, right? If you just have massive amounts of data, then using machine learning is going to help you go through that data and run some predictions or forecasting or whatever you need to do on that data, as opposed to manually going in. So I'd say those are kind of the three main, ways that you can, at a high level, like I said, kind of go into a problem saying, okay, should we use machine learning or should we not? But again, use case by use case basis as well.
And that is exactly why I came to work for this company. I love that we actually listen to the problems our customers have and don't just propose a solution that is the hot thing, the buzzword of the time, but instead we say, oh, no, actually there's a pretty simple way to solve this and it's going to be a lot more cost effective for you. And we walk them down that path.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're only here to work for them, right? To get them the best value out of what they're trying to do. And if it's machine learning, great, we'll get you there. But if it's not, then we'll tell you.
So a lot of times machine learning is used for risk mitigation. So I had a question for you. What is the more striking risk mitigation strategy that you see companies utilizing any kind of power of data and machine learning to actually avoid?
So one that comes to mind recently, we actually had a customer in fraud who wanted to push production machine learning models every 24 hours because they were trying to account for threats, right? And they would actually retrain and redeploy a machine learning model every day to be able to account for these threats, right? These data threats. That was extremely, that was a great thing to do, but it was extremely complex. It's actually impossible to do that without a mature, solution for model operation, like an ML ops in place. But yeah, that's probably the most, that's probably, coming to mind, that's probably the thing that jumps out at me the most from a risk mitigation standpoint. They were really, honed in on capturing any threats from fraud and then building machine learning on top of that, actually frequently retraining that model every single day to account for those threats so they could be prepared and have their clients prepared as well.
What about when it comes to pulling in partners, hiring data science resources? Does there need to be any kind of vertical specialization for those people to be successful, or is really just being a student of the data enough to be successful?
I would say that, obviously a skilled, trained data scientist is going to bring, a lot to the table for your organization, right? But at the same time, it's all dependent on your organization, right? Do you have the budget for someone like that? Do you have a budget for a team of data scientists, right? So we find when we work with clients the most is that, it's either, you have a data science department, right? And you're kind of, so in the case of the ML ops, you've actually, your team has built those machine learning models, right? And then you're coming to us maybe to assist with just bringing them to production, right? From an infrastructure standpoint. Or if you don't have any data science teams, you're really not going to try this stuff in-house, right? You're going to come to us and we're going to build it all for you, right? We're going to help, work obviously collaboratively with you, but we're going to build it all for you.
And maybe the data will be just a little cleaner because you had somebody that knew what they're doing as well.
Exactly. You got it.
How would it benefit an organization if they were able to provide data-driven insights to stakeholders and customers on a consistent basis? So when they're coming to us saying, hey, we want these outcomes, how can we add value to those asks by giving them these data-driven opportunities to make decisions?
Yeah, I think it's huge, right? To be able to make, data-driven insights or data-driven decisions as opposed to, just, human-based insights or decisions, I guess I should say.
From your gut, yeah.
It removes, that human bias, right? It removes the ability for, someone to just put in, like, maybe they are not even realizing they're putting in their bias into something like that, but they can, right? It can creep in. So, it's actual data backed insights, right? You can't argue with the numbers, really, right? You can't argue with the data. So an organization can be completely transparent, if they do everything based on the data, right? And I mean, I think that's always a positive. I think that's always a plus. If you're going to go, into a plan and you base everything on your data, and you're going to share out that to your organization, and everything is based on data, I think that can only be a plus.
Well, and then another piece that impacts is the bottom line, because now you're making decisions based on really knowing where you stand. So can you talk a little bit more about how our customers that implement ML and ML ops, how they're able to take advantage of new revenue streams?
As an organization, if you want to get involved in machine learning, right, you're going to start off and you're probably going to do, things in a development stage. So as you start going through that process, once you hit a point where you're sufficiently excited, happy with your machine learning model, you're going to then need to move that to production. If you stop there, which a lot of people do, because there's often disconnects between maybe the infrastructure group, the data ops groups, and the machine learning engineers or data scientists, then you get no ROI, right? So you're not reaping any rewards. So getting that machine learning into production and getting it in a timely manner into production is the key. So as long as you kind of have that focus when you're going into your machine learning journey, your data journey, then I think you're able to reap the rewards right away, really.
So you talk about ROI and reaping rewards, but what is a clear and realistic way of actually measuring that success?
Yeah, I mean, so I think it really boils down. So the ROI really boils down to the use case as well, right? So the return on investment could be financial, of course, right? In many cases it is, but that doesn't have to be financial, right? You could have an ML initiative that's using AI for the greater good, right? So that's a very big initiative out there now, right? AI for the good, and that goal is to not make money. Obviously, your ROI would be measured in other ways, right? It helped X amount of people, but that could be combating world hunger, or any AI really in healthcare, right? Battling disease, right? Predicting disease. So again, ROI really boils down to the use case, but your first thing you probably want to do is define some KPIs, right? Some key performance indicators to measure the metrics, right? Measure the criteria. Then, having some form of comparison, right? Or benchmark to measure the KPIs against. And that, I think, would be a great starting point to see how well your ML initiative is performing.
Oh, that's great. And I love your perspective on the fact that it's not just always a financial ROI. You've had a good COVID use case that we've talked about in the past, where you were helping predict where there was going to be spikes in the virus and concerns for people's safety and health, and you were able to use AI and ML to actually manage that and really be proactive about telling people where they need to shut down and where they need to be cautious of where they're going to visit. So it's not always financial, but it can be still very, very impactful in overall business and society as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a whole, like I said, initiative out there of AI for the good, right? Using artificial intelligence to actually better the world, as opposed to making money. Obviously making money is great, but there's also other ways that you can use AI that really is really impactful.
So Mark, you're obviously a very passionate person and like to invest your time in work, but also in yourself. So I would love to chat a little bit more about you on the personal front and a personal transformation that I'm aware that you recently went through as well.
Yeah, for sure. I've been on a pretty big health kick in the last, I guess, 9 or 10 months. It was December in 2019. I decided that I should probably make a change, with my fitness. I've always been, kind of athletic. I play soccer my whole life and stuff like that. I still play, but yeah. So I decided to get on a real big health kick, and I've lost 60 pounds now since December 2019. Feel fantastic. I'm approaching 40, but I'm in the best shape of my life, better than when I was 15. So yeah, it's an amazing feeling. It's a lot of work, mind you, but yeah, it's an amazing feeling.
What's the main thing that you're spending your time on as your cardio and even lifting weights with there not being any gyms, and the fact that you're stuck at home though, where are you able to actually go work out?
I actually work out at home now.
Okay.
Before I was at a gym before COVID, and then I haven't gone back. Gyms have opened up here, but no, I haven't gone
Okay.
back. I work out at home. I have free weights. I use an app called Beachbody. If
Mhm.
anyone knows what that is, Beachbody. It's a fantastic app. I specifically use a program called 6 Weeks of the Work, which honestly, the best workout program I've ever been part of. It's insane.
Okay.
And I just repeat it over and over. It's supposed to be 6 weeks, so I just do it over and over. And yeah, it's my program's I mean, as they say, 80% diet. So I've taken obviously a very big change in my nutrition, and then I work out, you know, all the time. It's quite aggressive. It's not
Good
it's
for
not
you.
a simple thing. But I usually run in the mornings a couple
Okay.
K, and then I do weights in the afternoon.
Yeah, and I think you've proven it with being in one of the harder times to focus on diet and nutrition, that being when you made the biggest impact on your health and fitness. I think that's something will stick for a while, and pretty impressive from my perspective. So, well, now I want to ask you one final question, and that is around principles. Wanted to hear from you as it relates to your career and your success, even within Annika Rackspace. What has been the core principle that you lived by to be successful in business?
Now, the core principle usually that I go by is in life, same as business, is treating others the way you want to be treated, right? So, I mean, that kind of goes hand in hand with the way I live life, and then in business, it's the same thing, right? Honesty and communication. So, I really believe in exceeding customer expectations. So, doing things the right way through communication and honesty, it allows you to get to that point of exceeding their expectations, right? That's a very big thing for me. I also believe in leading by example, right? In empowering others to succeed. As I was getting into this kind of space, this world of cloud and this world of AI and ML, you know, when I was starting out myself, I would often reach out to people, right, on LinkedIn or any other forum, right? Ask some questions, look for some guidance, and a lot of times you're just ignored, really, right? That's just how it works. And I don't ever want to do that to anyone. I like, I know how that feels being on the other side, and I just refuse to do that. So sharing knowledge, right? Sharing your success within business with others, helping others grow. That's definitely what I like to live by. So yeah, anyone wants to reach out to me, feel free. Ask any questions you can. I won't ignore you, I promise.
That's awesome. Well, and I've seen you invest in your team as well. So I think that speaks to how that principle is even relevant within the group that you're immediately working with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the group that I work with, we're a very close group, right? And all I want to do is, I say it to them all the time. All I want to do is help you get to where you want to be, right? And if I can, somehow affect that, getting you to that next step in your career, I will gladly, do so. So, yeah, I mean, we have a lot of fun. So,
That's awesome. Well, thanks for being a part of this today, Mark. Loved chatting a little bit more about AI, ML, all the fun buzzwords that come to data science, and I've really appreciated your expertise on the topic. So thanks for being a part.
thank you. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate it. And I'll come back anytime.